David Feldman-Makrias here. Biggest challenge, biggest challenge I faced from a technical perspective, definitely. Not many, not many projects that I can at least, think about for the last while kept me up from about 2 a.m. to 3:59 a.m. so far and counting. But sometimes, this is what it takes. And everyone is very quick in this age to showcase their wins. We're the best at this, we're doing that, blah, 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 blah. But I also think it's pretty important to be transparent and show not necessarily the loss, but a challenge. I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as a challenge, right? And taking responsibility for that challenge. So this challenge, we're building a website application for a specific niche industry. Currently, SITREP, we are over budgeted for the build. We've sunk in way too much time and energy into it that it's not at all profitable. We originally figured that a bridge platform software was going to help us connect this site's application to a couple other different applications, payment processing, subscribe and save, and inventory syncing for this brand that has a e-commerce e-commerce application and physical store inventory application through a very restrictive POS system, which is point of sale. A lot of stuff going on to unpack. So we're currently, way over the time estimated to reel in this project, way over budgeted as far as internal expenses. And but I'm here to tell you that's the reality sometimes, right? That's the reality. And I wanted to showcase this because I don't think it's something to be afraid of. If you know, I learned this in engineering. If you know what you know what you don't know. But then there's this other one that is you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes getting into projects and being ambitious with software development and testing and things of that nature are going to lead you down a path where you run into a whole bunch of obstacles that you didn't even think of, that you didn't even think of. And I think that's important. It's important to be aware of what you don't know that you don't know. And if you sense that there's items that you don't know what you don't know, that you inform your client or inform the project stakeholder or inform anybody, listen, this is worth doing. It's going to be more of an exploration. Hopefully we can get there. We're going to get there. You can't do a hopefully we're going to get there. It's like, no, this is going to happen. Because if you have an out for yourself, you're just going to take the out. No, we're going to get there. It's just we have to explore a lot to have all of these features. So I can, explain all the technical detail. I think that's going to be boring for y'all. But basically, I'm composing an email and doing some late night research about how to fix the problem. Hence my zillion of tabs open in my one window and just, you know, messing around, Googling, all that kind of stuff. At this point, it's very important to just be straight up. Just be straight up with communicating with your stakeholders. Meaning, hey, here's where we're at, And that's basically what this email that I composed after I did some more research is. I break it off into sections too. I'm not quite done with it yet, but hey, hi everyone. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, so I put a TLDR, too long didn't read. And then first off, we know that we're past the time frame. You know, I'll read this part because I think it's important to word it right. First off, we recognize we're past the initial time frame of the project. We did not anticipate the restrictions of the bridge platforms as they were advertising correctly, which is true. and the payment gateway conflicts is we did not know the platform restrictions. All very objective. It looks like I want to be very careful about how we word things because in this instance, we saw in the advertising the bridge platform that was key to delivering this project was supposed to deliver this connection between multiple stores, and it didn't. And I didn't realize that. I did. This is the item I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know I'd have to ask, like, if something's advertised on a software's website, that they can sync orders with multiple locations, that they actually can't sync orders with multiple locations. I didn't know to ask that, you know? And it seems like false advertising in a sense. Um, but nevertheless, I'm not trying to blame, but that is the truth. Um, which is unfortunate. But as I am the, I guess, face of the project for the client, it doesn't matter. You don't want to play the blame game, right? This is a real world situation. I'm not in it to blame, but I do want to state that this is something we ran into. I'm not saying we couldn't do this because they said they could do it, but they couldn't. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish. But I do want to state we're way past it because we didn't foresee these bridge platform restrictions as it was advertised to us that we could do it, right? Um, the payment gateway conflict, we just didn't know. That part we didn't know. I also put in my second sentence, we are building something containing features that currently do not exist in any other website application to our knowledge, and we appreciate everyone hanging in there with us as we learn through this process. So it's not in any other website applications, any other industry specific website application, but I took out the industry specific part because I'm trying to keep this um, privatized. Nevertheless, we take responsibility, and even though we are way past our initial internal timeline budget, we are going to keep going to meet the end deliverable. One of our final hurdles is getting the pickup order at specific location to work with the site. Recap. And then I go into all the learning challenges so far, the current solution we're exploring. Yeah. But like this little intro, like it's just awareness. We're aware that we're way past the deadline. Part of the reasons is because we didn't anticipate restrictions of these platforms that they advertised they could do something even though they couldn't. Doesn't matter. And I state we're building something that currently doesn't exist in the marketplace. From what I know, it just doesn't exist, right? Which is fine. It doesn't exist. But guess what? When you build something that doesn't exist, the first one, the great expression is the first one through the wall always takes it in the teeth. Or the first one through the wall always gets the most bloody, right? So when you're doing something for the first time, you're going to mess up. You're going to find things, you're going to find challenges. And that's part of taking it on. It's actually pretty exciting. Um, it's pressure, but it actually is pretty exciting. And if you're an entrepreneur, especially nowadays, in the digital landscape and you have changing service conditions, you're going to run into this stuff. I mean, you have to embrace it. It's part of life. It's like I'm on a journey, I'm on a quest, trying to figure stuff out. But this states it in a way where, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we are. Not sure what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. I think I need to put in a timeline and say, I'd like to give them an option too to back out of the project. Meaning, if they don't want to explore anymore or they don't feel like this is worth the effort, they don't have to keep going. I want to incorporate that in here somehow. I'm not quite sure how to do that because I don't want to be discouraging, right? When you say that, it's like, oh, if I read that, I'd be like, oh, David wants to give up. So I don't know how to phrase that, but if I also want to be considerate, if they don't want to keep exploring this project, I get it. I get it. I could charge more for it, but I just don't think that's right. Plus, I have other services with this client. I have a long-standing relationship. I just don't want to do that. I don't think it's right. I said I was going to do something. It didn't work out the way I wanted because of items that I didn't know about. Such is life, man. Such is life. And that's going to happen. I think the best thing to keep yourself calm too is to, again, don't know what you don't know. State that up front. There could be challenges and obstacles that really delay this. Are you in it with me to explore? I thought it was going to be way simpler. It wasn't. This is my second website build where it's been like this, but this one's been way more challenging because we're trying to create stuff that doesn't exist, which is cool, but it's not always. I think it is fun. I mean, I don't get discouraged by it, but I mean, this is the reality of digital entrepreneur. That you're trying to build something that doesn't exist. You got 4:10 in the morning with a zillion tabs open. I mean, if you're scared of it, I guess if I was at an earlier point in my career and I was looking at this video, I'd be like, "Oh God, I don't want to do that." But you get used to it. It's just like little repetitions each day. You get accustomed to working at 2 in the morning. Now you get accustomed to just pushing, pushing the envelope, pushing yourself to figure out a problem. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but and I don't even really know the real point of recording this, to be honest. I just wanted to share it with you because I feel like anybody in this journey will run into something like this at some point. And this is the point where I think it's really important to share because nobody shares this. They only talk about it. And then when you're like, when you go buy a course because you want to get somewhere or get to, a level that you want to get to that you've not been to before because somebody else has, they've gone through something like this and they talk about it, but they never share it in the moment. And I wanted to share it in the moment because it's like, hey, it's kind of cool. Hey, I'm at the lowest point of the project. I'm way over budgeted, and I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, and that's why I really like channels like Solutions 8 and some of the other ones that I follow because even if you become super successful and you create all this stuff and you're doing this and you're doing that, there are going to be instances where you don't know what you're doing. You just don't know what you're doing and you're shooting in the dark and you're exploring. But that's literally how you learn. So, anyways, wish me luck. Please. Couldn't do it without the good support of my team, though, and support of my clients. So, I hope it goes well. And yeah, I'll check back in at some point. I'd love to hear anybody else's comments, anybody else's trials, tribulations, what have you, with specific projects like this. Um, Let me know what you've run into.